Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. We'll be discussing how a pension account works and how it can unlock valuable benefits to secure your financial future. I'm going to give everyone a few moments to join the webinar and we'll commence shortly. So might sit here in silence just for a couple of secs. You can see we've got some great numbers rolling through. So I'll just give it another couple of seconds just to make sure we've got most people having joined. Okay, so I'll just start again from the top, which was we're going to be discussing how a pension account works and how it can unlock valuable benefits to secure your financial future. So my name's Beck Harvey. I'm a senior manager here at Brighter Super. I spend a whole lot of time and my team meeting with members on a regular basis, and a big part of our discussion is the importance of preparing and ultimately maximising your retirement. I'm going to cover a lot of information tonight, but do not worry, we'll also have time at the end to answer any of your questions. Okay, Brighter Super, to start with, Brighter Super acknowledges the traditional owners on the lands on which we meet today, and we pay our respects to elders past and present. We're proud to serve Queensland's 17 Indigenous councils, and we strive to provide positive outcomes for our members who identify as Aboriginal and/or Torres Strait Islander. It's important to understand that the information I am going to provide you with tonight and the examples contained in the presentation are general in nature and have been prepared without taking into account your individual objectives, financial situation, or needs. It is important when making decisions about your super options that you obtain the relevant product disclosure statement and target market determination and consider your own personal circumstances. You can access these documents and our financial services guide from the Brighter Super website. Today's presentation is going to run for around an hour. Many of you have already submitted questions and we've tried to incorporate these into the presentation tonight. You can also post questions in the Q&A feature during our presentation, which we will aim to answer directly. Now, I have on the screen, and you probably see him there, Yusuf standing by as our moderator. Yusuf and the team regularly are also out and about in the field providing super health checks to members in different regions all over Queensland. Welcome, Yusuf.
Thank you very much, Beck. And yes, I'll be behind the scenes here answering your questions. So feel free, if you do have any questions at any point in time, just put it in the chat box and I'll get through and answer those. And at the end as well, we'll have an opportunity to answer a couple of questions if I don't get through them all.
Awesome. Thanks, Yusuf. As mentioned, should we have time for questions at the end, we will try and answer these as well. So don't worry as well about taking too many notes. We'll send you this recording in the coming days. So let's jump in and talk about pension accounts and how they operate. All right, so retirement means different things to different people. Some of you might be in retirement now, thinking about retirement, or retirement may be fast approaching. So take a moment to think about what your retirement might look like. It might be that big overseas trip, exploring our own beautiful backyard here in Australia, or for others, it's all about family and friends, spending time with loved ones, and I know grandparent duties keep a lot of our members busy as well. But we're all different and we all have a variety of ideas as to what it might look like. So once you've got an idea, you may ask yourself, so when can I retire? This is the number one question I get asked from members. Well, the good news is that you can finish work whenever you choose. However, you need to be able to fund your retirement. But when it comes to accessing super, it all starts with your date of birth. So for those born after the 1st of July 1964, your preservation age is 60. The great news is, the thing about 60 is that funds you access from your super are tax-free. You don't pay tax, and it's not considered taxable income. So let me repeat that, as it's really, really important. Funds from your super after the age of 60 are now tax-free. It is, however, important to know that you're still paying tax on your investment earnings when you're in the accumulation account. Once you're in a pension account, there is no tax, and we'll cover this in more detail later in tonight's presentation. So, reaching your preservation age is one requirement. The other requirement is that you meet a conditional release. So let's go through these together. Firstly, permanent retirement, and you don't intend to return to work in the future. This doesn't mean you can never work again. It just means that at this point in time, you're not planning to work again in the future, but people's circumstances can change. Another condition of release is ceasing an employment arrangement after the age of 60. This means you don't need to declare retirement, you just need to cease a work arrangement. This may be switching from one employer to another. Then, sorry about that. Then we've got that ultimate conditional release. So turning age 65. Upon your 65th birthday, you've got full access to your super, regardless of if you're working or not. You don't need to retire or cease a work arrangement. All of your super can now be accessed. Now, if you've reached your preservation age and you're still working, you may be able to access your super via a transition to retirement pension account. This is also known as a TTR. I'm going to go through a TTR in more detail later in tonight's presentation. Now, if you are in a defined benefit account, the conditions of release can be slightly different. So please touch base with us before you need to access money or are considering your retirement. So permanent retirement, hang on a sec. Okay. Sorry about this, guys. I'm having some technical issues, so just stand by with me. We'll get there in the end. Now that you know when you can potentially access your super, the question is, at what age can you afford to retire? So at Brighter Super, we've got a range of calculators and services to help you answer this question. So under our resources tab and in Member Online, you can find both our What Age Can I Retire calculator there on the left and our retirement income calculator. These can help you understand if you're on track for retirement and how much you may need to fund it. We also offer a range of advice options and a suite of in-person seminars and online webinars such as this one. So I do encourage you to regularly check our website for any upcoming dates and topics that could be of interest to you. So you've decided it's time to open a pension account. So what's next? So let's go through how this account works and its many benefits. So let's take a high-level look at the difference between an accumulation account and a pension account. Let's starting with your accumulation account. This is where your contributions from your employer, additional salary sacrifice, and after-tax contributions have been going during your working life. You've also chosen an investment option, which generates a return, which has also helped grow your super balance. Now, these returns are taxed up to 15%. Now, when you've turned 60 and met a conditional release and you can access your super, you can make lump sum withdrawals at any time to fund your lifestyle or make ad hoc purchases, and these are tax-free. Another option that some members choose is to move all or part of their accumulation balance to a pension account. Now, before we look at how this works, it's important to remember when I'm talking about a superannuation pension, it's different to a Centrelink pension. At this point, you may also be eligible for a retirement reward for retiring with us. Now, I'll discuss that a little bit later in the presentation. Now, the current maximum you can move to a pension account under the transfer balance cap is $1.9 million, which will increase to $2 million on the 1st of July 2025. Just like in the accumulation account, you are still able to make, oh, hang on a second, a pension account, your super is still invested and receives investment returns just like in the accumulation phase. The difference though is that there's no tax on the investment returns. This means that in positive years, you could generally expect a higher return in a pension account compared to an accumulation account in the same investment option. Just like in the accumulation account, you are still able to make lump sum withdrawals and they're still tax-free. So you may ask, so what's the downside? Well, you need to withdraw a minimum amount each year, which is set by your age and balance. This minimum is recalculated on the 1st of July each year. Now remember that you're now in retirement. The amount you withdraw is effectively replacing the income you're receiving when working. The great news is just because you have to withdraw a minimum doesn't mean you have to spend it all. You could choose to keep it and save it or invest what you don't use. Remember that this minimum amount is tax-free, and you can also set a higher amount to meet the needs of your budget. And I'll go through the minimum percentages in a moment. I think the main takeaway when comparing accumulation to a pension account is that in the accumulation phase, there is still up to 15% tax on investment earnings and no tax on withdrawals. But in the pension phase, there's no tax on investment earnings or withdrawals, and you're required to withdraw down a minimum amount each year. So let's take a high-level look at the difference between an accumulation and a pension account when we're talking about investment returns. Sec. So let me just show you this in action. So what I'm doing here is just showing you the difference between an accumulation account return and a pension account. So I'm going to use the balanced option, which is one of our 11 investment options available to members in both the accumulation and pension phase. Now, it is important to note this may not be the option for you, and it's only intended as an example. So as I mentioned on the previous slide, the main takeaway between the accumulation and pension is that the investment returns in the pension phase are not taxed. So if we look at the current performance over 5 years, you can see that when invested in the balanced option in the accumulation phase, the rate of return was 8.97% after fees and taxes. And in the pension phase, it's almost 1% higher, generating returns of 9.94% after fees. Now remember, this is because of the tax-free nature of a pension account. Now, when markets are providing negative returns, the pension account may not always outperform the accumulation option. So it is important to get some advice to choose the option that is right for you. At Brighter Super, we offer a variety of super and pension investment options to suit our members' needs. Now, these range from the more defensive options in yellow on the left-hand side, such as cash or the stable option, or in the middle, our more diversified options in blue, such as My Super and Balanced. Now, My Super isn't available in the pension phase. However, you can see on the screen there are similar options available. And then our higher risk options in green, such as our growth option. Now, there's something to suit everyone's risk appetite, and you can choose a multiple of these options. You can also change your investment option at any time. It's as easy as filling in an investment switch through Member Online. Now, a helpful tool on our website is our investment risk profiler. This can be a great place to start to review your investment choice and understand your risk appetite. So I am pleased to say that based on analysis of super ratings data, Brighter Super's balanced and growth options perform strongly, as you can see on the screen, when compared to the median of other super funds returns in the rolling 1-year period to the 30th of April 2025. In fact, we've continued to perform above the industry median even during the recent volatility. At Brighter Super, the balanced and growth options play a significant role in the Retire Easy pension, and the balanced option is the default for pension members who do not make an investment choice. Now, in the Brighter Super Investment Trends 2024 Retirement Income Report, which was published in October, we saw that 2/3 of retirees are not sure if their super fund even offers a pension product. This is a real shame given their tax advantages, most notably that investment earnings and pension payments are now tax-free when you're in the pension option, but also because they can withdraw part or all of their money at any time after the age of 60. I have previously mentioned you need to withdraw a minimum amount each year, and the minimum drawdown increases as you age, as you can see on the screen. So let me give you an example. If a member was to establish a pension account at the start of a financial year with $500,000 and they were 63 years of age, they must withdraw at least a minimum of 4%, which equates to $20,000 in that financial year. Now, this amount can be recalculated at the beginning of each financial year based on your age and the balance in your account. Now, let's have a look at how to set up a Brighter Super pension account. Okay, Brighter Super, we've got two options. One for members who'd like to tailor their pension account to suit their individual needs, and another which uses pre-selected investment payment options called our Retire Easy Pension. So to tailor your own personal account, there are 4 steps. Firstly, step 1, decide how much you want to set up your pension account. You do need a minimum of $20,000. Then step 2, choose your investment option. As I previously mentioned, your super is still invested when it's in a pension account. You can change your investment strategy at any time. Now, if you've chosen more than one investment option, you may want to have your portfolio rebalanced on a regular basis. And you can choose to have your portfolio rebalanced quarterly, half yearly, or yearly. Then step 3, nominate the amount that you wish to receive. You can change this amount throughout the year as needed, as long as it meets or exceeds the minimum drawdown amount set by the government. Now, the annual minimum is recalculated on the 1st of July based on your remaining balance and your age. Then step 4, select your payment frequency. Now, this ranges from fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, or once a year. And remember, you can still withdraw a lump sum amount as needed. However, these do not count towards your minimum drawdown amount. Now, if you'd prefer a ready-made option, you may want to consider selecting Brighter Super's Retire Easy Pension. You may remember during COVID that the world experienced some market volatility, something you may have noticed we're facing again now. Now, during this time, some members made a choice to move to cash, which may have allowed them to sleep better at night, but meant they were not invested in the market when it recovered. Now, this is why we developed Retire Easy. Retire Easy uses an investment approach that may help members stay calm and steady during those market ups and downs. This is because your money is invested using a popular investment model called the bucket strategy, which you can see on the screen. Now, each bucket uses one investment option, each with a different level of risk and return to suit the time frame, and together they provide a portfolio to support you in retirement. Now, this product has been designed to help reduce the risk of your savings running out or not keeping up with inflation. The investment options are automatically rebalanced annually, but the trustee can actually choose to delay automatic rebalancing during periods of market volatility. Now, your regular income is automatically set to the government's minimum amount required, and it's paid on the 28th of each month. However, you can request additional lump sum payments. To learn more, though, about our pension products, please do reach out to us or jump onto our website. So, you've made it to retirement. We want to congratulate you. So Brighter Super gives eligible members who open a pension account with us a reward. So once you've moved from accumulation or a transition to retirement pension account, you could be entitled to what's called the retirement reward. The amount you receive will depend on the transfer amount into the pension account. And there's some examples there on the screen for you. Now, how does it actually work? When a Brighter Super member takes growth assets from their accumulation or transition to retirement pension account, which are taxed, and they put those into a Brighter Super pension account, which is not taxed, no tax is paid when the assets are sold. This unpaid tax is then available to a member as a reward for retiring with us here at Brighter Super. Now, it is important to note there may be rare times when assets are not sold at a profit, in which case no tax is payable, and as such, no reward is available. Also, this would not apply to cash, as cash doesn't earn capital gains tax. For more information to see how this is calculated, I want to refer you back to our website. You're going to find under our retirement tab, or just type retirement reward into the search bar at the top, and you'll get all the information. You'll also find the eligibility criteria here, such as being a member for over 12 months. Now, if you decide a pension account is right for you, there's going to be two ways to apply. The quickest and easiest way is through Member Online. Simply click on Open a Pension Account from the left-hand side menu. From here, you can start your application, as you can see on the screen. Alternatively, you can download the Pension Product Disclosure Statement, also known as the Pension PDS, and complete the form at the end of that document. When you are applying, you have a choice of how you want to manage your investments and pension payment options. There are two options. One, choose our Retire Easy pension, which has the pre-selected investment and pension payment options that will automatically update over time. Or option two, you may want to prefer more flexibility and choose your own investments and payment options and manage this for yourself. We've discussed investment options tonight and how Brighter Super offers a wide range so you can make a choice that's going to suit your needs. You can change your investments at no extra cost and at any time. In addition to selecting your pension account type and investment strategy, we're also going to ask you for your preferred pension payments, remembering it needs to be at least the minimum based on your age and the opening amount of your pension account. We will also ask for your bank account details because we need to make your pension payments to you. Then we want to know who your beneficiary is in the event of your passing. And we need to identify you and verify your identity. By selecting Retire Easy, your investment choice, payment amount, and frequency won't be required, as they're already predetermined. Assuming we receive all the relevant documentation, it will approximately take around 7 days for us to set up a pension account. Regardless of which pension account type you select, the first pension payment is made on the 28th of the month. As mentioned earlier, you can choose between fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, or yearly. Some of our members select fortnightly, as this is a familiar payment cycle to the salary they received when they were working. Fortnightly pension payments are processed on a Tuesday, unless this day falls on a public holiday. Funds may be available in your bank account on Wednesday, however, may take up to 2 business days to reach your account, depending on your financial institution's processing time. If you'd like more information on pension account options, you can read this in our pension PDS. We receive a lot of questions on pension accounts, so let's talk about some of the most common. Firstly, what happens if I go back to work? The great news is you can retain your pension account and keep receiving your pension payments. As you've recommenced work, your employer may be required to pay super guarantee payments. If you haven't retained your accumulation account, you are able to open a new account with us. If you're under 65, these monies will be preserved again until you meet a second condition release, such as you leave that employer or you reach the age of 65. Then what if I don't need the money from my pension account? The great news is that you are not locked into a pension account, which includes the Retire Easy. You can close it at any time and transfer back all or part into an accumulation account. There are various reasons as to why you may do this. For example, you've gone back to work, and if you're considering this, I'd recommend you get advice to ensure you maximize the tax-effective nature of the pension account. And then another common question is, how do I actually add to my pension account? Well, you can't actually add to a pension account. However, subject to contribution rules, you can open an accumulation account to make the contribution. Members sometimes do this if they've come into inheritance, or maybe there's funds from the sale of an asset, or in the previous examples, they've gone back to work. You then have the option to open a second pension account, or you can take advantage of our pension reset. Simply, a pension reset allows you to roll back your existing pension balance into your accumulation account, and from there, a new pension account with one total will be opened. To summarise this slide, the point I really want to make is there is flexibility. You are not locked into a pension account. You still have options after you've retired. So let me take a moment to summarise the differences between an accumulation and a pension account. Now, in an accumulation account, it's important to note there is no requirement to draw down your funds. You can leave your money in your accumulation account and you are not forced to access your super if you don't wish to. You've got the same investment options to choose from, and you can make withdrawals and also contribute subject to contribution rules, as I discussed earlier. Any withdrawals after the age of 60 are tax-free. However, investment earnings on accumulation accounts can be taxed up to 15%. The second account we spoke about was the pension account. Upon meeting one of the conditions of release, you can draw an income from a pension account. With a pension account, a minimum payment is required over a year, and that minimum payment is based on your age and your account balance, and there is no maximum amount. You are also able to withdraw a lump sum amount if needed, and importantly, investment earnings are tax-free. You can choose one type of account or a combination of both to suit your retirement needs. The good news is you've got flexibility as to how and when you want to access your super. Okay, if the pension account seems like it could be right for you, but you're not quite ready to retire yet, you may want to consider our transition to retirement pension account. Put simply, a TTR account is a way for people to access funds once they've reached their preservation age, but they haven't met one of those other conditions of release. It provides a way for a person to potentially access up to 10% of their balance in a financial year. So why would you use a TTR account? Firstly, a member may want to work less. A TTR account could help you to cut back on your work hours, and you can also receive regular TTR pension payments to supplement the income you've lost, excuse me, by working less. Or number two, reduce debt. You may be able to use the funds to reduce debt by receiving additional income from a TTR without changing your job or increasing your work hours. Then, potentially option three, reduce tax and increase your superannuation contributions. You may look at increasing your contributions to super, such as additional voluntary salary sacrifice contributions, and potentially make up for the reduction in take-home pay with tax-free income from a TTR account. And number four, a lump sum payment. So if you wish to receive a lump sum payment for items such as going on that dream holiday or renovating your kitchen, you can get a lump sum. But remember, by accessing your super prior to retirement, you need to consider the impact on your future retirement lifestyle. So let's have a look at how you set up a TTR account. So the first thing I want to point out, and it's important to note that when you start a TTR account, the funds remain in super and they sit alongside your existing accumulation account. So what do you need to do? Step one, you need to choose how much to invest. You need a minimum of $20,000 to start a Brighter Super transition to retirement pension account. Most members choose to keep their accumulation account open as they may still be receiving contributions from their employer or they need to maintain their insurance. Then step 2, your funds are still invested when you're in a transitional retirement account. You can choose from a range of investments from lower to higher risk. Although this is called a TTR pension account, the investment returns are still taxed, just like in the accumulation option. Then choose the amount that you wish to be paid. The maximum amount you can take out from your TTR account per year is 10%, with the minimum being 4%. So let me give you an example. If you need to withdraw $10,000, you'd need to move a minimum of $100,000 into your TTR pension account, which equates to the maximum of 10% you're eligible to draw. Now, if you keep your TTR account open into a new financial year, payments are then recalculated on the 1st of July. Then step 4, choose your payment frequency. Just like in the pension phase, they can be fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, half-yearly, or yearly. Now, for defined benefit members, if I have any on the webinar, it is a little bit more complex. So talk to one of the Brighter Super staff if you'd like some more information about how TTR can benefit you. So let's have a look at how a TTR pension account may work for a Brighter Super member who is looking to reduce their working hours. So let's meet Tom. Tom's 60 and he's ready to ease his way into retirement. Tom's spoken to his employer and he's planning on reducing his working hours to 3 days per week. Now, Tom does need to maintain a similar level of income that he is currently receiving. So in option A, Tom doesn't commence a TTR and he just continues to work full time. He's receiving $70,000 a year before tax, which is approximately $56,000 a year after tax. But in option B, Tom decides to set up a transitional retirement account. Now, based on some advice he received and the amount he needs for his lifestyle, Tom transferred $180,000 from his accumulation account into a TTR pension, and he elects to draw down the maximum 10% and have that paid as a fortnightly income. Tom now receives a gross income of $42,000 annually from his employer, which is approximately $37,000 a year after tax, and then an additional $18,000 tax-free from his super. So as you can see in this example, in option B, Tom would be able to maintain a similar level of income made up a combination of before tax and tax-free income, while also being able to reduce his working hours. Now, this is just one example of using a transitional retirement pension account. I suppose the point we want you to take away is that a TTR is flexible and there is a range of purposes. So reach out to us again if you want further information and if a TTR might be right for you. So if you are looking for some more information, just head to our website at www.brightersuper.com.au and under the resources tab in forms and information sheets, so resources tab, forms and information sheets, there is a content on TTR along with our considering retirement info sheet. If you'd like a deeper dive into some of our super topics, such as transition retirement accounts, we do hold regular webinars on this and a range of topics. One of my favourite features of the webinar is if you register to attend, but you're unable to, we're still going to email you a recording so you can watch it in your own time and you don't miss out. So please visit our seminar and webinar page for more information. So before I do wrap up today, let's have a look at what else you might need to know. One of the last things to completing a pension account is that it's important to nominate a beneficiary and who your super goes to in the event of your passing, as you may now be at the stage where you've got significant assets in your super. Now, super funds can generally only pay to a dependent or your estate. Now, who is a dependent? A dependent is your spouse, your child or children, a financial dependent, or someone you share an interdependent relationship with. In relation to pension accounts, there are a couple of beneficiary nominations you can see on the screen. There's binding and reversionary nominations. A binding nomination legally binds Brighter Super to pay your death benefit to your nominated beneficiary or beneficiaries. There are two types, a lapsing and a non-lapsing. We've recently improved our services and you can now make a non-lapsing nomination online. A reversionary nomination is only available to those in a pension account. It allows your beneficiary to receive your pension account payments in the event of your death. Following tonight's webinar, I do encourage you to go home and check your current nomination. Now that can be found in Member Online. It is important to review this regularly to make sure it still meets your needs. As part of our ongoing commitment to delivering exceptional value, we have, hang on a sec. We have reduced our administration fees for most of our members in January. In fact, it's one of the third year in a row that we have lowered our admin fees since the completion of our mergers in 2022. We've reduced our total administration fees by 40%. As part of this commitment to lowering our fees, we're excited to introduce our partner linking feature, meaning that two members can take advantage of a combined administration fee cap of $650 per financial year. The great news is that partner linking is available in both accumulation and pension account phase. Partner linking can reduce administration fees for two members with a combined balance of over $464,286 in pension account or over $546,219 in accumulation or a transition to retirement pension account. Now, if you are interested in partner linking, but the person you like to link isn't yet a Brighter Super member, you could consider our family and friends referral offer. Invite them to join us here at Brighter Super. If eligible, members can receive a $100 voucher for every family member or friend that you invite to join Brighter Super. Now, there is eligibility criteria and how to apply, so please just visit our website. Brighter Super does offer a range of advice options suited to individual member needs. So if you've got a more general question about your super, you can book in for a super health check, which is at no additional cost as it's included in your membership. If you're looking for specific advice about making contributions or investment strategies relating to your Brighter Super account, our intra-fund advice team can help. These appointments are at no additional cost. After the appointment, you will receive a written statement of advice summarising the recommendations. Now, we also offer several paid retirement financial advice options, so let's go through them. Firstly, if you're wondering whether you're on track or how long your funds may last, a retirement health check may help you answer these questions. This service is with one of our financial advisors and it's done over the phone at a cost of $330, which can be deducted from your super balance. Then we've got scaled advice. This helps members retire with Brighter Super and covers topics such as implementing a pension or a transitional retirement pension account effectively, including choosing the right investment option for you. Our advisors can also assess potential Centrelink benefits. Now, this service costs $990 and that cost can be deducted from your super balance. We also offer a comprehensive advice service should you want a more holistic approach to your retirement planning. It's available for members and their partners. It also includes implementation of the advice. The cost is going to depend on the complexity of that advice, and part of that cost of that advice can be deducted from your super balance. So take a moment as you're looking at that screen to consider which advice option might be right for you. And if you're interested in one of these services, make sure you reach out to us. So I think we've covered some great info today, and I do hope it has been useful to you. Now, before we start our Q&A session and get Yusuf to help us out, I just want to give you a reminder of an incentive to open our pension account with us. Brighter Super gives eligible members who are moving from an accumulation or transition to retirement account and into a pension account with us a retirement reward. The amount you'll receive will depend on the transfer amount into the pension account, but essentially when a member takes growth assets from their accumulation or transition to retirement pension account, which remember are taxed, and they put those into a Brighter Super pension account, which is not taxed, no tax is paid when the assets are sold. This unpaid tax is then available to the member as a reward for retiring with us. So we've tried, I'm sure Yusuf's done an admirable job and he's tried to answer your questions throughout the webinar today, but I'll invite Yusuf to come and see if there's any questions we couldn't answer in the Q&A chat. How'd you
Great
go,
stuff.
Yusuf? How'd we
Thank
go?
you. Thank you very much, Beck. Yeah, a couple of questions throughout, so thanks for that. I didn't get to answer a couple of them, so Ash, just to answer your question about transferring to a pension account only once, no, it's option B that you've written there. So you can do it multiple times. You can close your pension and reopen it as needed. And you're right, just as long as the transfer balance cap is not reached. So that is tracked. Um, Another question there about opening an account for somebody under the age of 18.
Mhm.
Absolutely, you can definitely do that. You just set it up online. I don't think there's any special requirements there, Beck.
No, just the normal, ID requirements, etc., that anyone would need to do.
Yeah, excellent. Here's one from David. What are the maximum contribution to pension account and the TTR pension?
So to a pension account, the maximum at the moment is 1.9 million that you can move across in this financial year into a pension account. And it does change to $2 million in the new financial year as at 1st of July. Now, for a transition to retirement account, it's actually uncapped. So it's not subject to the transfer balance cap rules when you're in a transition to retirement pension account. So it does work slightly different.
Follow-up question there. Does it change every year? So I'm not 100% sure, but I assume you're talking about the amounts. And as Beck mentioned, they do change, not necessarily every single year, um, but for the last few years, it has definitely been going up.
Yeah, so talking about transfer balance cap, it's
Correct.
it's it's indexed, so it just depends on the indexation behind it as to whether that will continue to go up or down. Well,
Yeah,
that doesn't go down, only goes up, I should say.
yeah, that's right. Got another question here, Beck. So keep them coming, everybody.
Yep.
Uh, Question here, keeping the accumulation fund to retain insurances.
Yep.
Um, the question specifically is, could you clarify a little bit more on that? I guess what are our options with the accum and what can we do with that?
So sometimes the reason why people keep their accumulation account is depends on what you're doing, but they keep the accumulation account because you might still be working, or potentially you do have insurance. So as such, you want to maintain any income protection or death and total and permanent disablement cover, and as such, you need to retain your accumulation account as well for that. Now, some members, when they move into a pension product, so I'm not talking about transition retirement, but pension account, they may choose to move all of their money across into a pension account and close their accumulation account. But it's important to remember, subject to contribution rules, you can always open another accumulation account to make further contributions. Say if you went back to work or you sold an asset or got an inheritance, something like that, and you wanted to contribute some money back into super, you can just open a new accumulation account. It's quite simple to do. So again, just subject to the normal contribution rules as to whether you can do that or not. So, and it's also important to note some members choose to keep both an accumulation and pension account open. They may not want to move all of their funds across into a pension account, and people do that for a variety of reasons.
Hmm. Beck, I've got another one along the same vein there. So when we're talking about the transfer balance cap of 1.9 million,
Yep.
is it just the accumulation account or accumulation plus pension balance?
So the maximum you can move into a pension is 1.9 this year, 2 million next year. So that's the transfer balance cap. Then we've got the total super balance as well. So they work separately to each other, and probably a bit to get into on this call. So I'd just recommend getting in touch with us where we can talk more broadly around transfer balance cap and total super balance.
Yep, excellent. Thank you. Now, there is a question here about the defined benefit income cap. I might need a little more information on that. I'm not sure
Hmm.
if you.
Defined
Um,
benefit income cap.
Whoever has put that, unfortunately, I can't see your name. Feel free to send us another message with maybe
Yeah.
a bit more detail, and we can always take this offline as well and have a chat. So that's no
Yes.
problem.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you mean by income cap. So yeah, I don't know whether we're talking about concessional contribution caps or what there. So we might need a little bit more help to answer that one.
Yep, no problem. I've got another one about fees, Beck. I might need to refer to a guide to answer this, but
Yep.
what are the fee charges to a pension account, and does this depend on the investment balance?
Yeah, so the fees or the management fees and the admin fees, they're the same whether you're in pension phase or accumulation phase. So it all depends on how you've invested. Something in cash that's doesn't have as much active management will potentially have less fees than something like a growth option, which is actively managed. And as such, the management fees on that are usually higher. So, depending on your investment option, will depend on your overall fees. But there's no real difference. The only other thing to consider is that there is a weekly administration fee as well, which applies to both. But there's no difference between those two. Just depends on how you've invested your money. And not forgetting, we do have admin fee caps as well that caps at $650 depending on your balance.
Definitely reach out to us. We can have a super health check and look at your specific details there.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Um, Question about advice. Essentially, the question there is if you have both a defined benefit or an accumulation,
Mhm.
what are your options with advice, and will you be able to get that first appointment without an initial charge?
Yes. So it doesn't matter if you're in accumulation or defined benefit. The first appointment with one of our financial advisors is there is no cost. So it's about an hour that you spend with a financial advisor straight up. If you're looking for that sort of comprehensive advice, and they'll have a talk about what your aspirations are, what your goals are for retirement, things like that. Get down some information about your assets and those sorts of things, and talk through how they can potentially help you and provide you with a quote around any scope of work that you both agree that you might want them to do to help you into that retirement phase.
Excellent. Thank you, Beck. One more question. I think we've got time to answer this one. It's
Yep.
in relation to death benefits and tax.
Yep.
So the question is direct death benefit nomination to a dependent
Hmm.
treated the same as a benefit paid to an executor, and then paid to the dependent via a will? So how
Okay.
is the, yeah,
Yeah. Sorry. So when money's left to a spouse, there's no tax when it's left to a spouse. If it's left to an estate, or someone who is not a spouse, who isn't a tax dependent, then the tax can be 15% plus 2% Medicare. So it can be actually up to 17%. So usually when it goes to an estate, it's 15%. If it goes direct to a non-tax dependent, it's 15% plus 2% Medicare if applicable. Hopefully that answers that one.
yes. And I just want to add to that, there were
Yep.
actually a couple of pre-submitted questions that related to this specifically, around tax to dependents. What I might do is reach out directly to those people who've asked that particular question, because it just depends on your situation and who you've left the money to, and it'd be a good conversation to have. So we'll touch
Yeah.
base with a couple of you after that.
I think the
Um,
other, sorry, point to
yep,
note, sorry,
yep,
is that it's one of the great reasons to get advice. People always want advice around the longevity of their funds, how to invest it, uh, getting the best benefit possible from Centrelink and maximizing that benefit. And the other really important one as well is estate planning needs. So minimizing tax in the event of your passing. So that's another real important one and a great reason to have a talk with one of our financial advisors if that's important to you.
yeah, sure. Um, David, who asked that question about the death benefit initially and the going to the estate, just wanted a little bit more clarification. So it really does depend, David. I think that's definitely one we should take offline if you don't mind.
Yep.
And there's definitely reasons to get advice around that to help make sure that you're setting this up in the most tax effective way. But we can certainly help you a bit more offline if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. I think that's all we've got that's come through here, Beck. So thank you very
Okay.
much.
Great questions. Thank you for that. I enjoyed all of those, and hopefully we're able to answer them as satisfactorily as possible in this sort of environment as well. But thank you, Yusuf, and I want to thank you for taking the time to moderate with me and attend tonight. And thank you also for everyone who's online for coming along and attending our webinar. We wanted to ask you a quick poll question before we bring things to a close. Overall, how satisfied were you with today's webinar? While you're completing this poll question for us, I want to remind you that Brighter Super is open to everyone. Brighter Super has a proud history of serving members in local government, energy, and electrical sectors, and also in the financial services sector. As an open fund, Brighter Super welcomes members from many other sectors and the wider community. To learn how your spouse, friends, or broader family can join, go to brightersuper.com.au. But I want to thank you very much for attending tonight's webinar with me, and we hope to speak with you soon. Thanks very much.